What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. I want to talk about the Kyrie Irving trade, just like everybody else, but I think I have a little bit different perspective on it because I think the trade is actually pretty damn good for the Mavericks, and I like it for Kyrie. There's multiple reasons why I like this trade. I want to break down why. Before I do, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video, but let's get into it. So with Kyrie Irving, there's a huge question mark that is always going to be around his name. It is what it is. But on court, that man is one of the best basketball players on the freaking planet. And I personally love the trade because before the trade, I don't really think the Mavs were a contender for anything. I don't think they were going anywhere. I think they were wasting a year of Luka Doncic, which, as young as he is, you don't want to do that. There's a title window with him that is huge, and they need to capitalize on it as much as they can. And Kyrie, given all the question marks, is still one of those guys. He can still win. You can still win with him, in my opinion. One of the best offensive players on the planet. And it gives Luka Doncic a co-star. This is the best player he's ever played with. And not to knock Jalen Brunson, who's really, really good. Awesome player. Kyrie's the best player that Luka has ever played with. Straight up. That's what it is. He elevates your offense to a level that before this, they were honestly pretty bad. They're the 24th ranked offense in the NBA. That's like the 6th worst offense in the NBA. Luka's amazing, and some of those guys can play, but they were a bad offense. They were last in fast break points per game, last in paint points per game, last in assists per game, and they were also last in fourth quarter points per game. Now, think fast break points. Kyrie is electric in the open court. He's one of those players that can go end to end and score on his own. He's going to help that a little bit. Paint points, he can get to the rim like no other, especially for his size, the craftiness. That's going to be really, really nice. And then you get the assists per game. Honestly, I think that is due in large part to the fact that they really didn't have anybody. I mean, Dinwiddie was cool, but creator-wise, they didn't really have a guy outside of Luka that could really do it, that could man an entire offense by himself. They didn't really have that. And I think Kyrie provides that. And then fourth quarter points per game. The dude's one of the clutchest players in the entire league. Hit probably the clutchest shot of all time. And, you're putting that with Luka now, who typically rests the first 6 minutes or so of the fourth quarter. So now you're going to have somebody that can go out there and run that fourth quarter starting unit while Luka rests, and you're not going to be absolutely terrible. So I think that's going to make a big difference on Luka, particularly because he's not going to have such a heavy workload. It's going to make life a little bit easier for guys like Reggie Bullock, Josh Green, Christian Wood, just guys like that are kind of playing with a little bit too much on their shoulders, in my opinion. So now it kind of alleviates that offensive pressure. Now, obviously, the big difference in the trade is they gave up Dorian Finney-Smith, who is probably their best perimeter defender. They gave up a first-round pick and a couple second-round picks, whatever it was. They really, in my opinion, did not trade a ton to get Kyrie. And before the trade, I think they're like a top 10 defense and a bottom 10 offense. So I think logically, defense is going to take a hit, right? Because you gave up one of your best perimeter defenders. Kyrie's not going to go out there and lock down the other team's best offensive player. It's just not what's going to happen. But I still think with Jason Kidd as the coach, they can find some sort of decent enough defense. They have enough, I think. Yeah, you have Josh Green, you have Reggie Bullock, Tim Hardaway Jr. can play a little bit of defense. There's a few guys that can play defense on this, so it's not like they're just a bunch of bums out there. They're not a bunch of traffic cones. So while I think the defense will go from top 10 to probably middle of the pack, which honestly is probably fine, I think that they should probably consider making one more move. Maybe go for Cam Reddish or something, just to take a flyer on somebody that probably won't take too much draft capital or anything like that. Gives them a big wing. That's just an outside idea that I have. So I think that they do need somebody of that caliber. They're going to need somebody that can guard 3s and 4s. Not that Cam's going to be great against 4s, but, depending matchups wise, I think they still might need that. But offensively, this is a team that's going to go from 6th worst in the NBA to, probably in that top 15 because of a trade like this. Because now you've got I don't call it a big three. I really don't. Because I think obviously you have Luka. That's a juggernaut. Kyrie is Kyrie. And I don't think Christian Wood is the term big three gets thrown around for every single team in the NBA. And it's kind of dumb. I think they have a big two in Luka and Kyrie, which is still really damn good. And then they have an excellent third option in Christian Wood, who can play in the paint, can shoot a little bit. So I think that's kind of how it is. I think they have a big 2.5, and that's not to be disrespectful to Christian Wood, but when I hear big three, I'm thinking the Heatles. I'm thinking teams like the Warriors, like teams that were just godly, and they had those superstar all-star level players, and like I said, Christian Wood is not really that kind of guy, but he can go out there and give you 18 points and 10 rebounds and put up a good stat line for you, which is fine. And I think the biggest thing is that ultimately the trade just gives them a chance to win down the line. I would think that Kyrie's going to sign. I think Mark Cuban's probably the best owner for a guy like Kyrie Irving to play under. So I think that's kind of an unspoken thing right now. Is I think Kyrie needs to have an owner that he can really kind of go to and talk to and kind of get an understanding with. I feel like he just hasn't really had that. And I think Cuban's the most unorthodox outside the box owner in the NBA, governor, whatever you want to call him. So I think that's actually a really underrated aspect of this. But, now they have a chance to win down the line. And before this trade, I'll be honest, that's a first-round exit. The team they had first-round exit, they were not going to be anything special. And that's not to destroy any of it because they have some good players. But the way the West is, they were not going to be beating any of those teams that are above them. With this trade, now there's certainly a pretty good argument they'll at least be able to keep up with them. I think we got, 28 games left. I think they'll probably go somewhere around 18-10, given good health and no issues like that, which puts them at 46 wins. They're a 28-26 record right now. I think 46 wins, and they'll probably be a top 5 or 6 seed. I think 6 is probably the lowest for them, but I can see them getting to 3 or 4, maybe even better. Just depends how well it meshes. We don't know how it's going to look. Obviously, I'm on the optimistic side. So with all that being said, where do you rank the Mavs in the West after this trade? Where do you think they're going to finish? Do you think that they're a legit contender? Do you think that they can contend? Do you think, no, this is just going to blow up in their face? Kyrie's the most untrustworthy player in the league, which, there's rightfully some concerns for that, but I think it'll be just fine in the long run. I think this is going to be a pretty good meshing relationship. I think Luka is kind of the star that is quiet in the media that will work really well with a guy like Kyrie, so I'm excited to see this Mavericks team play. I think that now they have a shot. Before they didn't. And I think when you make a trade for a guy of this proportion, I think that's mission accomplished because now you have a shot. That's the biggest thing. But anyway, if you are new to the channel, please click the like button. Also subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. I can't wait to see how this Mavs team does. The West is completely up for grabs. I think there's some great teams out there, and I think the Mavericks could be one of them. Thank you for watching. I'm done here. Peace.